Good evening. Thank you for joining us to start your Memorial Day here live at the library on Thursdays at the Library of Congress. I'm Monica Mohindra. I'm the director of the Veterans History Project, and we're here with you tonight to put a little meaningfulness into this celebration, this kickoff of summer, to remind us all what Memorial Day is also about. And joining us tonight is the extremely talented Bob Regan, who we have had the terrific fortune to work with for about 5 years, 6 years perhaps, with the Veterans History Project, because our efforts are so resonant. The idea of sitting with seriousness of purpose with the veteran in your life or your community and recruiting their story for the Library of Congress, or in Bob's case, to help make music for the rest of us to understand from our hearts the stories of those veterans and their experience. Bob Regan is a Grammy-nominated, Dove Award-nominated, and Nashville Songwriters Hall of Fame-nominated songwriter from Nashville, Tennessee. He has had over 200 songs recorded by such contemporary country artists as Keith Urban, Luke Bryan, and Jake Owen, and by legendary artists ranging from Kenny Rogers to cowboy legend Roy Rogers. Regan has also been a recording artist, a guitarist on the Grand Ole Opry, a professor of songwriting at Belmont University in Nashville, and a 3-term president of the board of Nashville Songwriters Association. In 2012, Regan founded Operation Song, a nonprofit with the mission to empower veterans, active duty military, and their families to tell their stories through the process of songwriting. To date, over 1,100 songs have been written in the program with veterans from World War II through the recent conflicts in Afghanistan. Thank you so much for being with us tonight. Thank you, Bob.
Thank you so much. Very honored. I'd like to thank the Library of Congress for having me, and everyone at the Veterans History Project. I've come to know about that. And if you have a veteran in your life and want to have their story memorialized in the congressional record, this is the place to do it. Operation Song has been a great blessing. As she said, I was a professional songwriter, and a lot of times if you're writing songs for the commercial market, you have to write songs about tailgates, Something in My Cup, Tan-Legged Georgia Girls, Moonlight Drive. But if you're writing with a veteran or their family member, every song you write really matters, and it can be life-altering. So it's been a wonderful blessing. All right. One of the a true honor for me in Operation Song was we've actually got to work with several World War II veterans. We've been trying to write with as many World War II veterans as we can because they're leaving us very quickly. They're all in their 90s at least at this point. A few years back, we met a gentleman named James Wooters from Columbus, Georgia. We put him with our songwriter, Will Nance. Mr. Wooters showed up at the writing session with his suit and his tie on, with his folder full of clips from his service on the USS Arkansas in World War II. And one of the good things about Operation Song is we're civilians, so we ask dumb questions. And Mr. Wooters was talking about he was at Normandy, survived, then finished off the war in the South Pacific and survived that. And he was telling Will about all the harrowing battles, and Will said, weren't you afraid? Which is the most obvious question. And Mr. Wooters said, at first we were all scared to death, but after a while, we all knew we were going to die. He said, it's the unknown that makes you afraid, but we all knew we were going to die. So Will figured that was the song. But needless to say, Mr. Wooters did not die. He made it to 97. This called his song called the USS Arkansas. My daddy was head of the draft board. and I just turned 18 years old. I didn't want him to be the one who had to draft me, so I volunteered I would go. I spent just long enough there in boot camp to get all my shots, and that's all. Then I found myself in rough waters on the USS Arkansas. We were anchored at 3,000 yards. The Germans dug in within reach. When a mine broke loose, then all hell broke loose that morning on Normandy Beach. Ooh, ooh, ooh. There was no fear, and here's why. It's the unknown that makes us afraid, and we all knew we were to die. We all knew we were to die. Southern France, Okinawa, Iwo Jima. World War II, it raged on. 134,000 miles later, dodging those 1,000-pound bombs. I can still see that flag made of nylon. On the after arm it would fly. And every time we fired those old worn-out guns, they'd glow and they'd light up the sky. Yeah, we held church every Sunday, usually to a room full of men. But over 1,000 showed up on that day to pray before we went in. We went into battle again. Ooh, ooh, ooh. There was no fear, and here's why. It's the unknown that makes us afraid, and we all knew we were to die. Yes, we all knew we were to die. Now I'm 95 and still living. I'm blessed to be here through it all. I give God the glory, and this is my story of the USS Arkansas. You know, one thing I loved about that story, and we don't realize now, but most of the people that went to fight in World War II, there were a lot of city boys, but there were a lot of them were just right off the farm. And one of the things that stuck with Mr. Wooders was he had seen that nylon flag flying off the afterarm. And he just said he'd never seen nylon with colors that bright before. And he would just go out there and stare at it. And that stuck with him 60 years. Other thing that was very moving, Mr. Wooders passed away about 2 years ago, and we got a call from one of his daughters, and she said, what's your address? We want to send something to you. And I said, well, let's give her the address. And she said, my dad asked that at his funeral, in lieu of flowers, that donations be made to Operation Song. So we're incredibly honored. You know, I think maybe I'm going to do a song. I'm going to do a song I wrote as a professional songwriter, if you don't mind. This song was actually recorded by Luke Bryan, and then it was recorded by the Gaither Vocal Band. It was kind of a contemporary Christian song, gospel song. And I'm kind of proud of it. But one thing I do want to say, since I'm in the Library of Congress, that as a songwriter, individually and on behalf of the profession, we're incredibly grateful for the Library of Congress and the Copyright Royalty Board. There's so many our regulations that intersect with our music and the general public and how songs are distributed. sold, stolen, streamed. And the Library of Congress is really our bulwark to make sure that we actually get fairly compensated for our work, so we're incredibly appreciative of that. It's called Pray About Everything. Time is tight, money short. River's up and the weatherman is calling for another storm. Pressure's on and the margin's thin. Gotta figure out a fix for the awful fix I'm in. Oh mama, what am I gonna do? She said, child, only one thing you can do. Don't worry about nothing. Let it go, see what tomorrow brings. Don't worry about nothing. Pray about everything. Pray about everything. Love is blind, fate don't care. You lose your grip and your balloons go sailing off into the air. Oh mama, what am I gonna do? She said, child, there's only one thing you can do. Don't worry about nothing. Let it go, see what tomorrow brings. Don't worry about nothing. Pray about everything. Yeah, take a walk, take a breath, man, get it off your chest. Take a cane pole to the fishing hole, catch a couple fish. Then just like that, toss them back, make a little wish. Don't worry about nothing. Let it go, see what tomorrow brings. Don't worry about it, stress about it, fret about it. Don't worry about nothing. Pray about everything. Pray about everything. Pray about everything. Pray about everything. Thank you. You can find that on Luke Bryan's first album, back before he insisted upon writing everything himself. That's a topic for a different lecture. Here's a song I did the first show, but it's our Memorial Day song, so I think I need to do it again. So back not too long after Operation Song started, we were meeting at the VA. We do programming with the VA in their clinics and individually. And we were riding with a group of veterans, and it was coming up on Memorial Day, and we realized that none of us had ever heard a song about Memorial Day. So we got to talking about various conflicts and how Memorial Day got started. It was actually originally called Decoration Day, and they would come and decorate the graves of the fallen after the Civil War. And then I'm not quite sure when it was actually made a holiday, but became Memorial Day. And it's not about barbecues or car sales or appliance sales. It's actually, or about veterans in general. It's to commemorate those who made the ultimate sacrifice. So we tried to capture that, and that we've been honored to play this song on the National Mall every Memorial Day pre-COVID, and we're going back again on Monday. the World War II Memorial and the Korean War Memorial. I took a musket ball in Chancellorsville. I went down and I lie here still, underneath a cross of stone. The world has turned and time's moved on. There are seasons when it seems that everyone's forgotten me, till the last Monday in May, when all the springtime flowers bloom. They come and decorate my grave, but only bones lie here entombed. My spirit flies as high as old glory waves on the last Monday in May. And I fought on a distant shore in the war to end all wars. World War I turned into II, the Argonne into Peleliu. It's hard to rest so far from home, but one day a year I'm not alone. On the last Monday in May, when all the springtime flowers bloom, they come and decorate my grave, but only bones lie here entombed. My spirit flies as high as old glory waves on the last Monday in May. From Korea to Vietnam to the mountains of Afghanistan, in whatever wars are yet to be, we'll fight to keep our country free. My chopper went down in Iraq. One more week and I'd have made it back. Now my war and battle's done. I rest in peace in Arlington. My wife is here most days with me. Won't you come and keep us company on the last Monday in May, when all the springtime flowers bloom? Please help her decorate my grave, but only bones lie here entombed. My spirit flies as high as old glory waves. Remember all of us and the sacrifice we made on the last Monday in May. The last Monday in May. Thank you. Now, not all songs are serious and somber. A lot of them are, because people want to deal with things that they've kind of been carrying around. This song was, the gentleman wanted to be up-tempo and kind of fun, although the subject was pretty serious. But interestingly, when I met this gentleman, Bob Pierce, he came to one of our programs at the Vet Center in Nashville, and he had the Vietnam boonie cap and a big gray beard and coveralls, and I thought, well, this guy's been living pretty rough for the last 40 years, I'll bet. And we got to talking, Turns out he was a PhD economist for the state of Tennessee for his entire career. Said he'd worn a suit and tie and he'd never worn a Vietnam hat or even told anybody he was there until he retired. One thing I learned is that when a lot of these veterans retire, they're able to kind of stuff things down with work and career and families and everything else. So when they retire and all the background noise in their life recedes, a lot of these things come percolating back up. But Bob wanted to write about a phrase he heard in Vietnam called "Bu Cu Dinky Dao," which is a combination of a little French slang and Vietnamese. Bu Cu is a lot and Dinky Dao is crazy. So he said if people always called the GI, "You Bu Cu Dinky Dao." So we wrote this song. In Vietnam, they had slang for crazy. They called it "Bu Cu Dinky Dao." That's what I was back then, no ifs or maybes. That's how I feel sometimes even now. It's what they said if you did something stupid. What they did if you did something brave. I did both, but somehow I lived through it. I'm just proud to be standing here today. We were young and dumb, just boys, but they gave us deadly toys, and that's Bu Cu Dinky Dao. Bu Cu Dinky Dao. And it's all just games and fun till you gotta use that gun, and it's Bu Cu Dinky Dao. Crazy Dinky Dao. GI, good guys and BC villains. But in the end, it's all just senseless killing. And I bet God was looking down, thinking they're all Bu Cu Dinky Dao. We had M14s, M16s, and M60s. Every minute they could fire 600 rounds. Had to get that body count a little higher. Made the Pentagon and old Don Rumsfeld proud. Oh, but Charlie, he had AK-47s, Kalashnikovs and World War II carbines. It's been 50 years since I dodged those bullets, but at night the tracers still light up my dreams. We were young and dumb, just boys, but they gave us deadly toys, and that's Bu Cu Dinky Dao. Bu Cu Dinky Dao. And it's all just games and fun till you gotta use that gun, and then it's Bu Cu Dinky Dao. Flat out crazy Dinky Dao. GI, good guys and BC villains. But in the end, it's all just senseless killing. And I bet God was looking down, thinking they're all Bu Cu Dinky Dao. Thank you. Bob Pierce. See, I think I got about time for one more song. I think I'm going to close. This is kind of my farewell song. I was from an era when kids my age growing up listened to cowboy songs. And I was no exception. I would listen to Roy Rogers on my little radio and my records, and I would watch Roy Rogers on the TV. And if those of you that remember anything about Roy Rogers, Roy would be riding on horseback, and Gabby Hayes would be following up the rear with a Jeep. So there was some certain incongruities that didn't occur to a kid But I thought I could be a cowboy and ride around on horseback and shoot people. But it turns out that was not a career option my mother approved of. So I floundered for many decades until I landed on this songwriting thing. And as fate would have it, Roy Rogers, when he recorded his last record, he came to Nashville and recorded one of my songs. So, Roy was old. He was not in very great voice, but I don't care. It was Roy Rogers singing my song. So with this, I'm going to bid farewell, and again, a big thank you to Monica and everyone else at the Veterans History Project and the Library of Congress for having me. It's called Here's Hoping. By the way you watch the sunset, I can tell soon you'll saddle up your old strawberry roan. Bid goodbye to the goodnight loving trail and set off to blaze a new trail of your own. They say every cowboy finds a home somewhere. Friend, till your travels take you there. Here's hoping. There's an open road before you. Here's hoping that your aim is always true. When you're trying to outrun that setting sun, here's hoping that you do. I know you'll try to hold a higher ground and stay one day ahead of the storm. But when the norther blows and the rain comes pouring down, may you find a place to keep you safe and warm. And they say every cowboy finds a home somewhere. Friend, till your travels take you there. Here's hoping. There's an open road before you. Here's hoping that your aim is always true. When you're trying to outrun that setting sun, here's hoping that you do. And if the trail looks bad and you need to double back, partner, here's hoping that you do. Thank you. Please look up Operation Song online. I think you'll find some songs there that will impress you. And look up Veterans History Project. If you have relatives or if you're in the military, please share your stories. And thank you very much and have a wonderful Memorial Day weekend.